Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm Will Ware. I'm with WHHI-TV. We're here at Right at Home Care of the Low Country, which brings us to our first guest, President of Right at Home, Greg Fulton.
Our next guest is Ashley Gruber. She's with Memory Matters. So stick around for more 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
.843 TV,
Where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
.843 TV,
Where communities come to speak. Welcome to 843 TV. We're now joined by Ashley Gruber with Memory Matters and Greg Fulton with Right at Home of the Low Country. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Excited to be here, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're here in your office, Greg.
Yes.
So thanks for having us. And you know, we're talking about serving seniors, really, aren't we? Both of you kind of serve a similar demographic in our area, and a demographic that's growing, isn't it?
Tremendously, and you know, we've been around for a little over 12 years now, and it's just changed drastically. And it's changing across the country, the aging population. I think Ashley can tell you that just the amount of seniors that we serve now has probably doubled from when we first started.
Doubled?
Yeah, doubled. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And I mean, specifically in Bluffton and Hilton Head, I mean, this is obviously a great place to live. People come for the climate and to be close to the water and to retire here, and that's one of the reasons.
It is, you're right, and as far out as, I mean, even Palmetto Bluff and get into Port Royal and Beaufort,
right.
The whole area is just gorgeous, great places. And the services that we have that we're going to talk about, I know that, you know, the depth and capacity of the services offered for such a small community is huge.
Yes,
it really
absolutely.
Is.
Yeah. And getting more specialized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you mentioned you've been around for 12 years now.
Yes,
Is that right, Greg?
we sure have.
What are the types of services that you offer?
Well, we're a home care agency, and what that is basically we go into the home and can provide anything from just safety, supervision, through transportation to a doctor's appointment, to transportation to Memory Matters, or wherever they need to go for the day, through actual hands-on care. And then we even get into some skilled nursing care. A lot of folks can use this just a minimum of a few hours a day, but we also have folks that need us around the clock, you know, and they have the resources. They've retired here, as you mentioned. Nothing wrong with assisted living and places like that. They're great, but they want to stay in their home.
Absolutely.
They want to stay in their home, and so that's where we come in to start to help that assistance.
Greg, walk us through the process. If I'm a family and I have a loved one that I'm concerned about that might need some care, and I come to you, where does it start? What do you do?
Typically, folks will reach out to us either through a referral source through the medical community, or they'll find us, you know, on a website or somewhere and reach out. Typically, it's the children that have identified the need that mom and dad may need. They'll reach out to us. At that point, what we like to do is create what we call a plan of care. And what that would mean is we'll have a nurse go into the home, evaluate the situation, find out what the needs are, communicate that back to the family, and then we come up with that plan of care. Once that's established, we decide, you know, do they need 3 hours a day? Do they need 24 hours a day? What is the need? And once that need's is decided upon, then at that point we start the process of the aides that'll actually be in the home taking care of them, and then we start an interview process where the families get to meet those aides, and you know, it's all about personalities too. When you're, you know, if you bring a stranger into the home, it's a lot of dynamics to deal with. So, you know, agencies like us want to make sure that when we go in, everybody's very comfortable with the situation.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the nurses and the aides that you use?
Sure. Great question. We use registered nurses, licensed LPNs, if you will, and the CNA, certified nursing aides. Typically, if it's just a supervision type situation, you know, obviously there's not a nurse needed for that type situation, so it's more of an aide, it's more of a companion, if you will. And we try to, you know, work with ages and certain things that the aide likes and the family likes, because it has to be a match for the employee too for it to be a good situation. Then when you get more hands-on, where there's needs, where there needs to be skilled involved, then you're looking at more of an RN type situation in the home.
Sure, so it's very customized, obviously.
It's very customized. Great point, and very much so.
And obviously, Greg, the more you know, the better you can serve. So can you tell us a little bit about the research you're doing to help better serve your market, and specifically the research you're doing with the Harvard Medical School?
Oh yeah, that's a very exciting. Right at Home is a national franchise organization.
Okay.
There's about 400 locations. I actually own the one here and the one in Savannah. And like I said, we've been around 12 years now. The Harvard study is a national study, not just us, but
Okay.
we are one of the 100 or so that's in a 3-year study. It's all about change in condition. And what that means is basically stopping from hospitalizations, things that may happen as far as nobody observing the situation. So what we have in the system is when an aide goes into the home, they'll actually, we have a telephony system, so they clock in, and then when they're leaving, they clock out, and that basically, they ask certain questions about the condition that day, and there's certain things that are target points that are identified. Well, if the aide happens to notice something, maybe a wound, maybe something that's changed from yesterday or last week, they'll notify that in the system. Once that's done, our nurse will be notified here, and then at that point, we can get involved. The nurse can go out, actually observe if they need to go to a physician, or just identify and let the family know. So it's all about monitoring that change in condition. Obviously, Harvard has also larger picture involved, meaning policies and things like that they're looking at too. And to give you an example of home health, which is a physician order, basically that's where, you know, a physician orders someone to go in, and Medicare is typically going to pay for it if they're 65 or over, and that's where they'll go in and maybe have physical therapy, occupational therapy, something that's just going to be task driven. They're going to go in, they're going to leave. Well, obviously there's a lot that goes around that. Activities of daily living, how's the person getting around, how they getting through the day, eating, and so forth.
Right.
And that's where agencies like us come into play. Home health, government funds about 73% of that. Home care, our world, they only fund about 13% of that.
Really?
So you can see there's a big stretch there, and that's where I think a lot of the policies down the road with doing this 3-year study will show the value of what a home care company brings into the home. So a lot of that's got to do with it.
An important distinction there between home health and home care.
There very much is, and we work very closely with home health. They're actually our partners in the homes. They really are.
Gotcha.
Now, Greg, if someone wanted to just find a little bit about more, they weren't ready to come in yet, where can they go to get some research, get some information about your branch here?
Sure, they would definitely need to go to the website. There's all kinds of data, information, newsletters that they can download at that point. We always do free consultations, so if they really want to sit down or by phone, speak with a social worker or a nurse from our staff or a manager, we'll do that, and we'll walk them through the process. And it's a great question because a lot of times families are just doing research.
Right.
Right.
And we love it when they do that, because it's very difficult when they call when it's critical in the 11th hour and mom needs
Right.
this, and then we all get together and we can do it, but we like to go through that learning process up front and really take the time to educate, be it sit down with them or whatever. We have folks that reach out to us that don't really start services maybe till a year later.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a very important subject, something that we all at some point may very well deal with as our parents are
Sure.
aging.
Oh, yes.
And so thank you for sharing, and stay right here. We'll be back for more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. Joining us now to speak a little bit more about Memory Matters is Ashley Gruber. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you for having me.
This is, again, another important subject that hits home to a lot of us. Tell us about Memory Matters and the services that you provide.
Well, Memory Matters is a local nonprofit agency that is the community resource for memory care. We were started in a church right down the road about 20 years ago, and have since grown to provide quite a continuum of care specifically related to brain health and memory services. So the services we provide include free confidential memory screenings. We also have an amazing brain fitness class called Brain Boosters, as well as a cutting edge early memory loss program called Connections. We have a very engaging social day program for people who are in more advanced stages of dementia. In addition to all of that, we also have extensive support services for our caregivers, for the families that are caring for their loved ones.
Right.
So we have individual one-on-one counseling, and we also have support groups, and all of our counseling is free. And
great.
aside from these in-house resources, we also go out into our community to different churches and businesses, like Greg's here, who want to learn more about brain fitness and dementia.
Very cool. You mentioned Brain Boosters, which is
Yes.
a brain fitness class. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so Brain Boosters is this amazing class that's for anybody in the area
Okay.
who wants to be proactive in their brain health. So the key focus of our Brain Boosters class is debunking the myths of an aging brain while talking about the power of lifelong learning. So we cover topics such as stress and negative thinking and how they impact the brain and what to do about them.
Right.
We talk about the power of laughter. We talk about different brain memory techniques, which we call mnemonics. So addressing concerns such as, I'm just having trouble remembering people's names, or I keep misplacing my glasses. Or another classic one is I go into a room and I forget what I was going in there to do.
Yeah.
So we talk through all of that. Some of my favorite questions are the pressing nutrition questions, like can I have my wine? Can I have my chocolate? And so we go over all of this in a 10-week class. We offer the series 3 times a year. And actually we have our next series is coming up on Thursday, September 15th.
Great.
Great.
Yeah, and we still have spots available, so give us a call.
Well, actually, the Connections class, what is that?
So Connections is this outstanding program we offer that's specific to people dealing with early stages of memory loss. And the key focus of the Connections class is socialization, because studies show that socialization is integral in engaging the brain while keeping depression at bay. So if we could just take a moment just to think about what it would be like to recognize for yourself that maybe for weeks, but more likely months or even years, that you're just not quite as sharp as you once were. And then you get a diagnosis, and the diagnosis is Alzheimer's or another type of dementia, and just how isolating, how scary that could be for the individual and their families. And what we saw before we started Connections was this pattern in our families where they were feeling a need to withdraw from their social engagements, a need to withdraw from their everyday activities because they were really worried about what people were thinking or saying about them. And the beauty of our Connections class is that that worry isn't present. It's very empowering. Like all of our programs, Connections is what we call a safe, failure-free zone, where we focus on people's abilities rather than disabilities. So we see friendships form, we see confidence being built, and like all of our programs at Memory Matters, there's just a lot of joy and laughter in our Connections program.
I have to agree with that. I think it's the top way to stay sharp and active is to be involved and connect with other people.
Exactly.
So if they have apprehensions about doing that, because they're concerned about, that's a wonderful way for them to let go
To
of
stay
those
engaged,
and
and stay involved, and make new friends.
Now, as far as some symptoms or signs, if someone is concerned about themselves, maybe they need to come and see you, what are some things that they can do? What are some signs they should look for? Like you mentioned, if they're forgetting certain things at a pattern or...
Right, so some of the classic signs of memory loss, and I'm non-medical, so I need to clarify that. Memory Matters, we're non-medical, we're a nonprofit. But some classic signs might be repeating yourself, having a difficulty paying bills. Sometimes we'll see a breakdown in being able to process numbers, not being able to track time, missing appointments that in the past, we could follow the calendar just fine, and now things are a little off. Or my husband's looking at me and saying, "You just told me that, honey." And you just told me that again, honey. So those are some of the signs. And what I would encourage people to do is that if they are worried about their memory, to go ahead and give Memory Matters a call today. Because like I was saying, we have free confidential memory screenings. They are non-medical, but it gives us a baseline if something's going on. Right. And that being said, if you already have a diagnosis and you want to do something about it, again, give us a call, because we have various programs and classes that are specifically designed to keep you as sharp as possible. I also would like to let the caregivers know that are listening that if you are actively caring for somebody, please give us a call. This is exhausting, overwhelming work.
Yeah.
It really is. And we have so many resources. We have a lending library. We're tapped in with the local network with agencies like Greg's. And we can really help give you a total plan,
I think that's really important to emphasize, because those on the front line, those family members who really may not be trained and have their own life, busy life going on,
Exactly.
they could use a little help. And you provide
Exactly.
those services for free, right?
Absolutely, yes. We charge for our different classes and programs, but all the counseling support, all the resource support is absolutely free. And like Greg was saying, for his agency right at home, a lot of the calls are coming in from adult children
Right.
that are coming in and saying, oh my goodness, we're vacationing for the summer and we just noticed that mom's not doing so hot. What do we do?
Ashley, great stuff. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
And stick around for one more segment of 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. We're joined by Greg Fulton with Right at Home Care and Ashley Gruber with Memory Matters. Thanks again for being here, guys. We're talking about servicing our seniors and a population that's growing in our area. And Greg, I hear there's an exciting new program coming up called the Senior Network. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Definitely. I'm glad you're letting me speak on this. Thank you. Very excited about that. We've been talking about this for a while. As we know, and we've talked about it earlier, this is going to be a great platform for community experts to come together, share resources, educate, all the things that we've been talking about through this channel. We talked earlier about the change and the demographics and so forth, and as we were sitting here, I was just thinking about some stats just to kind of give you an idea of what the wave of the population is now.
Yes.
It's currently right now over 30 million Americans 65 and older. In 2050, it's going to be over 80 million. So think about the swing on that. And also the age population of 85, it's almost 7 million now, and it's going to be over 19 million, including myself. So that you can see there's just a big change, and I think that this community, and we know very well, we deal with it every day, has a lot of value to offer,
Right.
not only to our local folks, but to folks that are thinking about retiring here. So this is going to be a network and a channel that we're putting together that's part of obviously WHHI. That's going to be a great forum to get together and discuss those topics.
Excellent.
And Greg, what is your role going to be in the show?
Well, I have been asked to volunteer to co-host with Debbie Lyons, which I know you know
Yes.
from WHHI.
You're going to enjoy that.
Yeah, so very excited about that. Besides that, we are Right at Home will be one of the partners, and I know we'll talk about that as far as trying to get it up and going in the show and so forth. But I am very excited about being a part of just the education process of getting out there and letting folks know the depth of the services that we do have, like Memory Matters, in such a small coastal community. You'd be surprised to find some of this stuff in other places.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When is the show going to air?
Well, we're targeted for October,
Okay.
and hopefully it looks like it's going to be early October, I hope.
Excellent. That's coming up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Greg, the topics, I'm assuming, are bountiful, to talk about.
Well, and we want a lot of different folks involved with this.
Right.
We want other home care companies involved with
Sure.
this. We want elder care attorneys involved with this. We want long-term care planners involved with this. Assisted living, Memory Matters. Physicians, anyone that really gets involved and helps in the senior services in the community. We want to get to be a part of the show. I mean, it's just like I said, it's an education forum.
Absolutely. So if someone is in that business or interested, how would somebody learn more about becoming involved?
Sure. Well, first off, we're trying to put together a group of original partners, and that's going to be 10. We have to fund the production of the show, obviously. And we're getting there, but if anyone is interested, please reach out to Jessica at WHHI. She's working very hard to get this put together as far as so we can get on air in October. And I encourage everyone that wants to be involved. I mean, we're going to have a lot of guests come on the show and things like that. And I've said this about WHHI WHHI, a plug for you guys, that, you know, what's fascinating is everything is YouTubed. And I think that we all know is a huge tool on the internet these days. And that's where I think that this, you know, all the shows will be on YouTube. So not just at the moment and the local folks, you're talking about all the children, as you mentioned, throughout the country can pull this up, review it, educate people that are looking to retire here. It's a great avenue.
Yeah, that's very important, exactly like you said, for this area, because people are looking to retire here and they say, what services can I have? So they can go online, they can go on the internet, share links among their family members, so this ought to be a really great resource.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, even for the chamber to get involved, I'm hoping that they'll look at this, because I think you know, we've done a fantastic job at tourism on Hilton Head, and we know, but there's a lot of plantations on Hilton Head. We talked about, you know, the gorgeous area of Bluffton and Beaufort and all. It's a wonderful area, and it's already a lot of retirees coming this way. But for us to be able to have and reach out and show them exactly the capacity of what is in this area for them, I think it's going to be a great tool. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is great. We've got a couple minutes left. Thank you both for the work that you do here.
Oh, thank you.
If there's, you know, one kind of parting message for our viewers, for Memory Matters, Ashley, something you want to leave them with?
The key message that I would like the viewers to really hear is that we have a nationally recognized Center of Excellence specific to memory care right here in our community.
Yeah.
And to not wait for a crisis. We often hear, oh, he's not that bad. And the flip side is, why did I wait so long to come in? I wish we had come in 2 years ago.
Right.
So please don't wait to give us a call. Don't wait for a crisis. If you're worried about your memory or you just want to find out more about brain fitness, go ahead and call today.
And Greg, the same thing with you. Like, it never hurts to start planning early, right?
No, it doesn't. And I encourage folks that, you know, home care is a fairly new industry. And I encourage folks that are apprehensive about having strangers, meaning aides in their home, and the children in New York. Technology has changed everything. We all know that. And, you know, we have family rooms online where families can go in and see exactly what's going on with their parents, meaning doctor's appointments, schedules, everything they want to know. So communication is key, and it's out there. So don't be hesitant. Reach out to organizations like us in Memory Matters. The support will go a long way.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Thank you both so very much for joining us today.
A pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for watching 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.